Peace and love. So, in this video, I'm just going to be answering a question that somebody asked me. So, basically, the other day I was on Instagram and I scrolled down and I came across a post by Shaka Bars. And what the post was, it's this, sorry, I don't know if you can see. But basically, what it says is that moment when you realise everybody in the world is really just you, living life in a bunch of different bodies. So then I was just minding my business and I received a message from somebody because I had commented on that post saying, knowing this is one thing, but experiencing this is another. And, experiencing this to be true is another. So then I received a message from a woman and she said, hey, I read your comment on Shaka's page. Could you enlighten me on this, please? And this was yesterday at 12 o'clock that I received the message. And ever since then, I've been thinking about how to word my answer. But for some reason, I just don't have the words to be able to explain that concept or that knowing. And what I wanted to say to it is that it's more of a feeling than an explanation that I can give. It's you have to experience the feeling of that, yeah? So then a moment ago I thought, if I don't have the words to explain, then maybe my guides do, or maybe one of my guides do. And before I even was able to think about which guide I would like to connect with, Roger came to mind, and it made perfect sense. It made complete sense because with Roger, he's one of my main guys, one of my first guys, but when it comes to him, he no longer feels outside of me. He feels like a part of me. When I first connected with him, it was like, okay, there's me, and then there's Roger, this energy being, this person that's crossed over to the other side. But they felt so separate from me. Like they was literally just, I was able to see them as my guide, literally. But now I see them as a part of me, a fragment of me, an aspect of me, like almost like another higher self of me, if that makes sense. So that completely it aligned with why he would come forward when we're speaking about everybody being just another me in another body. And then as soon as he comes through, then I all of a sudden had the words to explain, but it was not that I had the words, it's just that he's expressing through me, you know, and making also me aware of some of the things that I do know and some of the words that I do have to hand. But the first thing that he was presenting to me was he was showing up in purple, wearing purple, which is his colour, but it had more significance. It was androgynous. He was saying androgyny and masculine and feminine, that we all have masculine and femininity within us, and that's where he was starting off from, the fact that we are all one and the same, the fact that this shell is just a shell, but the energy within that shell is universal. And he was just making me aware of, for some reason, androgyny was a really big element of when he first came forward in terms of his experiencing one another. And what I'm feeling at the moment is almost that androgyny and androgynous people are expressing oneness, are expressing wholeness, are expressing, I want to say, universal consciousness in a physical way, in terms of embodying everything and all that there is, in terms of masculinity, femininity. It's just like, I want to say a metaphor or symbolic of oneness and unity, if that makes sense. I hope that doesn't sound too far-fetched. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to close my eyes and see if Roger would like to kind of answer this topic of us all being one and the same, really. We are all one and the same. And my apologies. I am Roger, here today to speak with you about universality, about compassion, about healing the heart. I apologize. Benji's within himself still aware of what's happening and aware of what's being said. And he's aware that I've kind of taken is off track when I'm speaking about why I've came to speak. But the first thing is the topic of is all being one and the same. And where I would like to start is the fact that we all come from a mother and a father. We all come from beings that have either embodied their masculinity or their femininity, or both, or neither. We all come from darkness and are brought into the light. And when I say brought from the darkness and brought into the light, I mean from within our mother to the outside world. We all have ancestors. We all are connected to the earth. The earth is all of our mothers. We all have guides, archangels watching us. We all have hopes, fears, worries, insecurities, aspirations. We've all experienced hate, whether that has been done to us or whether we have expressed hate towards somebody else. We've all experienced joy, love, compassion, we all feel, we all understand, overstand, are misled at times, are hurt at times, are placed at disadvantages, are placed at advantages. We all have moments of feeling lost, of being found, of not being seen, of being seen, of not being loved, of being loved, of not being heard, of being heard. We all come from a place out there. And when I say out there, we all come from somewhere beyond Earth. We all come from darkness and are brought into the light. Just like the seed that grows in the soil, from darkness to light. And that's why it's important that we acknowledge our darkness. We come from it. Those who are the most lost, the most hurt, the most worried, the most insecure, are often those that hide away from their darkness And a lot of the teachings that we energy beings have been channeling down through to Benji have been based and centered around acknowledging your darkness alongside your light, combining your shadow work with your light work, because we come from darkness. And it's not that we don't come from light or that we are not light. But you must go through the density, because going through the density is almost like training for your wings. It's almost like going through your density or weights for your wings to become stronger, so that when you go out into the light that you're able to fly and rise. And if you was to do this in reverse, it may not be the same. If you was to immediately fly, that's great, that's fine. But as you fly, and then one day you're faced with all your darkness, the weight would be too heavy. The weight would be too severe, causing you to crash, causing you to fall and spiral down. So it's important that we acknowledge our darkness and go within and sit within our darkness and not hide away from our darkness, so that we can use it to build our wings stronger. When you heal any kind of incident or heal from any moment, when you go out into the world and you see somebody else going through that same scenario that you did, there may be a moment where you look at this person and say to yourself, that was me 2 years ago. And equally, when somebody is doing really well, really successful, but they're just about to embark on something new, somebody that's already experienced that something new may look at that individual and say, that was me 6 months ago. Recognizing the them in you and the you in them. Realizing that we are all one and the same. Living, experiencing, learning in different bodies, at different rates, at different speeds, at different times, for different reasons, for different lessons. But nobody is doing anything different out here on earth. We're all just simply living, expressing, experiencing, and expressing again. When you tap into your heart and ask yourself, what is it that is making my heart beat? What is the force that is making my heart beat? Then you ask yourself, is the same force that makes my heart beat the same force that makes my friend's heart beat? The same force that makes my mum's heart beat? When you have a thought, ask yourself, where did that thought come from? Do my thoughts come from the same place that my mother's thoughts come from? Where my friend's thoughts come from? Where my son's thoughts come from? what I'm about to say may be triggering for some, but I want to go to godly energy. And I say godly energy because there are many different truths for many different people. And really, it's not that everybody has a different God. They just identify with a different expression of God. And people don't understand that they are not fighting for the one God when they are defending their religion so hard and their Godhead so hard, that they are simply defending their chosen expression of God. And it's important to ask, is this expression of God's, and I mean the energy of this expression of God, does it come from the same source? Does it come from the same place where my thoughts come from? Where the life force that causes my heart to beat comes from? Where other people's chosen expression of God comes from? Okay. So, I'm aware that in this video, and I was already aware of this, but when I connect with my guides, they often refer to me by my birth name rather than, well, my birth nickname rather than Naphtali, which I don't mind, but it's almost that they remind me that they know me in totality, not just for who I am today. But I think I'm going to leave this video here. I hope that what has been said has provided clarity, or just at least makes sense. I thank Roger for coming forward and expressing through me. I send you peace, love, gratitude. Peace and love. Ashe.